Hi everyone. Today we're talking about a vehicle whose shape alone could start an argument. Minus the propeller, you might mistake it for a truck, but with that propeller, it becomes something nobody had built before, the GMC DUWK, one of the most iconic amphibious transport vehicles of World War II. It didn't fire guns in anger every day, but it fired supply lines across continents, beaches, and even the English Channel itself, and proved that what matters most in war isn't always weapons, but movement. The DUWK was born out of necessity in 1942. Allied planners faced a logistical nightmare. Landing troops on beaches was only half the job. Keeping them supplied once they were ashore was the part that won or lost battles. Traditional landing craft could bring soldiers and equipment close to shore, but vehicles and heavy cargo often sat stranded in shallow water or dangerous surf. The solution was this odd machine, created through a collaboration between naval architects and General Motors truck engineers to combine boat buoyancy and truck mobility. It was initially rejected by the military, but after a demonstration where an early DUWK rescued stranded Coast Guard sailors in rough surf, military opposition melted away. The DUWK later even proved its seaworthiness by crossing the English Channel under its own power, something few amphibious vehicles of the time could claim with confidence. Mechanically, the DUWK was clever rather than flashy. It was built around the GMC AFKWX or CCWK six-wheel, six-drive truck chassis. That meant a rugged foundation trusted by the U.S. Army long before it went amphibious. Power came from a GMC Model 270 inline-six gasoline engine with a displacement of 4.416 liters. It produced about 91 horsepower and, more importantly, around 275 newton-meters of torque, which is roughly 203 pound-feet, giving the truck steady power to move heavy loads on land and push the hull through water at the same time. On roads, it could reach up to about 80 kilometers per hour, which equals nearly 50 miles per hour, and in water, it could cruise at about 6 to 9 kilometers per hour, around 4 to 5.5 miles per hour, depending on conditions and load. Like a classic amphibian, the DUWK rode on conventional tires on land and had a watertight hull that acted like a shallow boat. Steering was done normally with the wheel on land, and in water the front wheels acted like rudders, while a rear-mounted propeller provided thrust. The vehicle also featured a remarkable innovation for its time: in-cab tire pressure adjustment. Drivers could decrease pressure for sand and soft ground and increase it again for hard surfaces, something decades ahead of its time in military vehicle design. The DUWK's size gave it substance without overwhelming cruise. At approximately 9.45 meters long, that's about 31 feet, and 2.44 meters wide, roughly 8 feet, it stood about 2.69 meters tall, or just under 9 feet with the canvas top. Empty, it weighed around 6,200 kilograms, which equals about 13,600 pounds, and could carry roughly 2,300 kilograms, or about 5,000 pounds of cargo, or up to 24 fully equipped troops. Its billet steel construction wasn't armored for protection against bullets, but its sealed hull and built-in bilge pumps kept it afloat even if small holes appeared. As a combat support vehicle, the DUWK's role was clear: move things where others couldn't. Some were equipped with a .50 caliber Browning heavy machine gun mounted on a ring to deter enemy small boats or aircraft approaching the landing zone, but the vast majority served as logistics carriers, hauling supplies, artillery, ammunition, and wounded soldiers from transport ships directly onto beaches and beyond. The DUWK's service history grew quickly once it proved itself at sea. Early in its career, it was deployed to the Pacific Theater, including Guadalcanal, where amphibious landings and rough shorelines made supply operations difficult. Its first major European operation came during the invasion of Sicily in July 1943, where hundreds of DUWKs worked around makeshift piers to bring supplies ashore while larger landing ships waited in deeper water. But its most famous appearance was on D-Day as part of Operation Neptune, the amphibious phase of the Normandy invasion in June 1944. Thousands of DUWKs were loaded onto landing ships and released offshore, then carried men and materiel across the English Channel to the beaches under fire and in rough surf. While several DUWKs did capsize and at times sank during the chaotic landings, many more successfully kept the lifeline of supplies flowing, making them an unsung backbone of one of the largest coordinated invasions in history. In addition to Normandy, they were used in other European operations, such as the Battle of the Scheldt, Operation Veritable, and Operation Plunder, where river crossings and beachheads demanded flexible logistics. In the Pacific, U.S. Marine Corps units also found them invaluable for crossing coral reefs at Saipan and Guam, where ordinary trucks would have been hopelessly stuck. Lend-lease expanded the Duck's impact even further. Under this program, around 2,000 were supplied to Britain, 535 to Australian forces, and 586 were sent to the Soviet Union, which later used the design as inspiration for its own amphibious truck, the BAV-485. Other nations across the globe used them in various roles well after the war, demonstrating the design's durability and adaptability. After World War II ended, the Duck didn't simply vanish into history. Excess vehicles were sold off as civilian surplus. Many found new lives in tourism, operating as amphibious duck buses in waterfront cities, carrying sightseers through streets and into harbors. Others were used for rescue work, firefighting, river crossing tasks, or simply preserved in museums and private collections. Its influence even touched post-war military engineering in other countries. So what makes the Duck more than a quirky wartime oddity? It wasn't the fastest, it didn't carry the biggest gun, and it wasn't designed to fight. But it solved one of the hardest problems in amphibious warfare: getting stuff and people ashore quickly, directly, and without stopping. And in doing so, it changed how modern armies think about amphibious supply and mobility. If you enjoy deep dives into the machines that quietly shaped history, vehicles that weren't always glamorous but were absolutely essential, make sure to subscribe. There are many more remarkable vehicles waiting to be explored.